Hello, everybody. Chris Ferrone here. So it's a weekend edition because there is something going on Monday regarding this topic, but not everyone's talking about social consumption. I wonder why. It's probably because a lot of other stuff's going on in the weed world. There are arrests. Of course, the arrest of Suffolk County Sheriff Steve Tompkins for allegedly shaking down a dispensary in North Station. There's all sorts of drama at the Cannabis Control Commission, just lots of other stories as well. And honestly, there's been a lot of companies, a lot of dispensaries and grows, cultivations going out of business. So it's not like everyone's been so excited for places you can smoke weed. At the same time, there is some energy there, some enthusiasm, certainly a lot of stores that have a little extra space that want to do social consumption. And I think also the public really doesn't know what's going on yet, which is understandable because unless you're in a small cadre of people that goes to all sorts of consumption events, you're still probably not on that tip. So, with that said, we're getting closer. We're getting closer and closer and closer. As the next step in the process for social consumption, the Cannabis Control Commission is actually hosting an in-person hearing this Monday, September 8th. And here's from the agency, they say, in order for the commission to diligently complete their work on these regulatory changes, public comment is highly encouraged. And I know we hear things like that, and it's like, no nonsense, they're not going to really listen. I'd say with this one, they really have listened. It's kind of a new territory, and certainly commissioners even went on a fact-finding mission to California. Given that was 2 years ago now, the landscape's changed. Some of the places they visited are actually out of business. So that's why it's important for people to kind of chime in and say how this might work. Leading up to this point, so it was like December 2024, they unveiled 3 different existing social consumption license classes. Ready? 1, supplemental. That's for existing marijuana establishments to add on-site consumption into their operations. All right, so, the dispensary has that extra big room where they've done, knitting events or whatever and community events. I use that example. I think the Goods in Somerville had that. But basically, and now that's going to be a social consumption lounge or event space. Think about maybe something like New Dia in near Fenway Park. Across the street, the old Gold's Gym down the basement, they have a beautiful art gallery called Black Walls. Imagine something like that, right? The second license class, hospitality. That's for new or existing non-cannabis businesses to host social consumption activities in partnership with qualifying marijuana establishment. So imagine if you're like a bowling alley that has, is going to have like vending, team up with a local dispensary to have weed bowling or something like that, which is really an exciting license class. The other one is for event organizer. I might as well wear this, Talking Joints memo, for example, might end up having an event organizer license because it's like, basically like pulling a permit to have alcohol liquor license for an event, but you'd have to be permitted by the state first. So basically on July 29th, the commission voted to approve draft set of regulatory changes, including all of the above, that essentially create a framework to allow for social consumption of cannabis, as well as other needed industry regulatory changes to support the growth. This is their quote: "the growth of the industry and continued compliance." Thus began a formal regulatory promulgation process that allows for public comment. That's where we are now. So basically, on Monday, check out Talking Joints memo. I'm going to put the link in the comments. You can go and testify in person. You can also testify virtually at the Cannabis Control Commission about what the final regulation should look like. What your lounges look like, ventilation, all that kind of stuff. I'll drill down a little bit more on that in just a second. But basically, and let you know exactly what you need to do. But I wanted to also say, if you're in the Somerville area, they're actually going local as well. Not the Cannabis Control Commission, but the CCC has told municipalities for a while now, hey, if you want this to be something that you are doing, if you want to really get in line with this, and obviously a city like Somerville is going to have something like this. It's not like one of these suburbs where they're going to probably fight. So Somerville is doing what the state or what the CCC has said for a while, and become much more proactive, okay? And they are having all sorts of, really several forums on draft social consumption licenses, and we have the dates listed. The first one is going to be, they're going to do 2 virtual forums, one on September 30th, and those are on Zoom, one on October 6th, and that's going to be for business operators interested in opening a social consumption establishment in Somerville. And then they're going to do in-person forums October 29th, West Somerville Neighborhood School, and then Thursday, November 6th at East Somerville Community School. And I think that, by the way, shows how far we've come, that they have a cannabis-related hearings at a school. Obviously, there's no smoking, but there's no smoking at a dispensary. A dispensary is the hardest place for a young person to get into. For some reason, those can't be near schools. Another topic for another day. Finally, Somerville's going to have a virtual forum for the public to learn more, share thoughts, stuff like that, Monday, November 17th. So it's going to go on for the rest of the year. They're not rushing it, but they are doing what they were told to do. If you're looking to get a social consumption license, I highly recommend working with a place like Somerville that actually wants you. As for the Cannabis Control Commission, so yes, tomorrow, here's some of the things. Today's Sunday, September 7th. On September 8th, like I said, there's a hearing. It starts at 10 a.m. You could testify virtually. You could testify in person, or you don't have to be there or even participate that day. You could submit your written comments. And some of the things that they're looking for comments on include responsible vendor training. That's based on feedback from industry stakeholders and public officials. They're saying there's a need to incorporate training as a requirement. Obviously, something like this would be recommended. They want some input on shelf-stable, non-infused foods. What should places be able to sell? I mean, why not? Anything. Coffee cakes. Please have coffee cakes. Limitations on sales. I always have coffee cakes on the brain. The draft currently allows for consumers to purchase the overall amount allowed at retail, which is an ounce. So basically, should it be limited? I, of course, don't think so. I don't know why you need an ounce if you're out for the night. Maybe you're balling. It's like the equivalent of getting a handle of vodka. I don't know. Prohibitions. They want to know about alcohol and tobacco. I can tell you from previous reporting, alcohol started as a total non-starter. And then, a couple months ago, the Cannabis Control Commission started talking about it like, are we really not going to allow alcohol? What if there's a concert venue that has booze here? And, how is it separated? So it's really kind of an actual discussion now rather than just no booze. At the same time, by the way, you interview some people who have experience with social consumption, and they don't think alcohol should be anywhere near this. Say Kyle Moon, for example, who I spoke with, it was a year ago. I doubt his opinions changed on the matter. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. Kyle was hard on edibles. He says really, edibles can really lead to some problems. As for alcohol, a lot of people who do this work don't think that alcohol belongs, but hey, that's what the conversation's for. Ventilation, as I mentioned before, that's going to be a big topic. Cooling down. Social consumption establishment licensees will be required to provide cooling down areas for patrons. I don't think maybe these should be let's make them pretty sweet. I don't know if they should look like church pews, or maybe that would be cool. Whatever the case, those are some of the topics. So you could head out to Worcester on September 8th tomorrow, or if you're just seeing this after that, you can still submit your comments. No matter what, though, I'm excited for social consumption. It is definitely the next frontier. It's going to be a difficult one, but we're excited to see where people take it. So with that said, have a great weekend. For now, you'll have to do your social consumption in the privacy of your own home, or right in front of it, the way I do. Peace.